Hi, here is the first video to our Chapter 3 review. In number 1, we're given two functions, f of x and g of x. Letter A asks us to find the f of negative 2. And all this means is that wherever we see the x value in our function, we plug in negative 2 instead. For letter B, we need to take a look at the function g this time. Once again, wherever we see an x, we plug in the value of negative x instead. And once we have that, we go ahead and we simplify. Now in letter C, please notice that the negative is in the front of the function. So in this case, we have to put the negative outside parentheses with g of x inside. And then we go ahead and distribute our negative sign. Moving on to letter D. Once again, the domain inside the parentheses, we are going to plug that into the function f wherever we see the x value, like so. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and simplify our work. And I ran out of a little bit of room there, but I went ahead and wrote the answer right here. In letter F, notice they're telling us to subtract the function f minus the function g. So we are going to take the two functions and subtract them. So f of x is x squared minus 1, g of x. Please notice here, a lot of students make this mistake. We need to distribute this negative sign to both the 2 and the 3. So make sure that you check and you make that 3 a positive. The same is true in letter F, except this time we are going to add the two functions, and instead of using f of x here or g of x, we're going to plug in 2 instead. So we already know that the f of 2 would be 2 squared minus 1, and the g of 2 would be 2 times 2 minus 3. Yes, because once again, we plug in 2 wherever we see an x for f and then g. And when we go ahead and we solve that, we are going to get the answer 4. If we move on to letter G, notice this is our composition symbol. This means the f of g. We're going to plug the function g into f. And I'm just going to separate this a little bit here. So what this means is we are going to plug g inside f. So if we take f, which is x squared minus 1, notice instead of writing x squared, I wrote parentheses squared minus 1, and I'm going to plug g into my parentheses here. G is 2x minus 3. We'll have this, then we're going to go ahead and FOIL and combine like terms. And if I try to squeeze that answer in there, let's see if I can erase this little mark here. We will get as our answer. And for letter letter H, we first have to find the f of 2, and we'll go ahead and plug that in for x. And then we're going to take that answer, the 3, and we're going to plug it in for x for our g function. In number 2a, we don't have to worry about the numerator. The numerator can equal 0. However, the denominator cannot equal 0. So we need to factor this, and then from here we'll do the zero product property. And once we do that, we're going to write this in interval notation, like that. Taking a look at letter B, please notice we cannot have a negative number underneath the square root sign. So for this, we have to make sure that what's underneath, we have to make sure that it's greater than or equal to 0. I'm going to divide both sides by a negative here, which means we're going to flip our sign. So if we want to write that in interval notation, look like that. In letter C, let's be careful because in our denominator, we cannot let this equal 0, but we also cannot let what's underneath the square root be a negative number. So in this case, we have to make sure that whatever x plus 1 is, it's got to be greater than 0, and it can't equal 0. So here would be our answer. Moving on to number 3, we're going to do the difference quotient here.